The Roman invasion of Scotland began in AD 79, when the Roman governor of Britain, Gnaeus Julius Agricola, launched a military campaign to conquer the northern territories of what is now Scotland. Agricola's goal was to bring the Caledonian tribes under Roman control and establish a permanent Roman presence in Scotland. In AD 80, Agricola led his army across the River Tyne and defeated the Caledonian tribes in several battles. He then built a series of forts and fortifications along the River Tay to secure the newly conquered territories. However, the Caledonian tribes soon regrouped and launched several counterattacks, led by the legendary warrior queen, Boudica. Despite the initial successes, the Roman army faced significant difficulties in Scotland due to the rugged terrain and harsh climate. The Caledonian tribes used guerrilla tactics to harass the Roman army, and the Romans were unable to establish a permanent presence in Scotland. In AD 84, Agricola suffered a major defeat at the Battle of Mons Graupius, where the Caledonian tribes, led by the legendary warrior Calgacus, inflicted heavy losses on the Roman army. This battle marked the end of the Roman invasion of Scotland, and the Romans were unable to regain control of the territory. The aftermath of the failed Roman invasion of Scotland had lasting impacts on both the Roman Empire and the native Scottish tribes. The Roman army retreated to the southern borders of Scotland, where they continued to maintain several forts and fortifications along the Antonine Wall. This wall marked the northern boundary of the Roman Empire in Britain and served as a symbol of Roman power and control. On the other hand, the Scottish tribes maintained their independence and cultural heritage, and the memory of the resistance against Roman rule became an important part of Scottish identity. The bravery of the Caledonian warriors, led by Boudica and Calgacus, was celebrated in folklore and legend, and their resistance against Roman rule was seen as a symbol of Scottish independence and strength. In the centuries that followed, the Roman Empire gradually declined, and the once mighty Roman army was unable to maintain control of its territories in Britain. The northern borders of Scotland became increasingly vulnerable to invasions by other tribes and armies, and Scotland entered a period of instability and conflict. The Romans tried several times to conquer Scotland, but ultimately were unable to do so due to several reasons. Firstly, Scotland's geography made it difficult for the Roman army to penetrate and control the territory. The rugged terrain, hills, and forests of Scotland presented significant obstacles for the Roman army, which was designed for battles on open fields and roads. Secondly, the native Scottish tribes were fiercely independent and resistant to Roman rule. The Caledonian tribes, in particular, were known for their bravery and fighting spirit. They were led by a warrior queen named Boudica, who led several successful resistance campaigns against the Roman army. Thirdly, the Romans faced logistical problems when trying to invade Scotland. The long supply lines from Rome made it difficult to sustain the Roman army in Scotland for long periods. The Scottish climate was harsh and often adverse, with cold winters, wet and boggy terrain, and frequent storms. These conditions made it challenging for the Roman army to maintain its strength and morale. Lastly, the Roman Empire was facing internal problems during the time of their attempts to conquer Scotland. The empire was stretched thin by numerous other military campaigns and internal uprisings, which reduced the resources and manpower available to send to Scotland. Despite these challenges, the Scottish tribes were able to maintain their independence and cultural heritage, and Scotland eventually became one of the strongest and most influential kingdoms in medieval Europe. The failed Roman invasion of Scotland was an important turning point in the history of the country, and its legacy continues to be felt to this day.